10 Things You Didn't Know About Elon Musk. Welcome to our channel. Today, we're diving into the fascinating life of Elon Musk, the visionary behind Tesla, SpaceX, X, and now Donald Trump's right-hand man in the United States government. Beyond the headlines and controversies, there are surprising aspects of his life that few know about. From his humble beginnings to becoming one of the most influential people on the planet, Musk's story is full of unexpected twists and curious details. Get ready to discover 10 things you probably didn't know about the man who dreams of taking us to Mars. 1. His parents thought he was deaf. When Elon was just a child in South Africa, his concentration ability was already extraordinary. He would immerse himself so deeply in his thoughts and readings that he literally couldn't hear when spoken to. This peculiarity worried his parents so much that they thought he might be suffering from some kind of deafness. They took him to the doctor for hearing tests, only to discover that their son simply had a superhuman ability to concentrate. This ability to disconnect from the world and focus intensely on a task would later become one of his greatest strengths as an entrepreneur and innovator. In fact, Musk has mentioned in interviews that he can spend entire days obsessed with solving a problem, even forgetting to eat or sleep. What seemed like a problem in his childhood turned out to be the seed of his extraordinary capacity for innovation. 2. He learned to program at 10 years old. While most 10-year-olds were playing in parks, young Elon was already sitting in front of a Commodore VIC-20 computer, teaching himself how to program. Without tutors, without YouTube, without Stack Overflow, just him and a manual. His fascination with technology was so intense that by age 12, he had already created his first video game, Blaster, a space game inspired by Space Invaders. The most impressive part is that he managed to sell it to a computer magazine for $500, a considerable sum for a pre-teen in the 80s. This first commercial success was just a hint of what was to come. The code for Blaster was published in the South African magazine PC and Office Technology, and years later, a programmer recreated it so everyone could play it. This early achievement demonstrates that Musk's entrepreneurial vision and passion for technology were not acquired, but part of his DNA from a very young age. 3. He opened a nightclub in his house. During his college years at the University of Pennsylvania, Musk showed that his ingenuity wasn't limited to technology. Together with his roommate Adeo Ressi, he turned their 10-bedroom house into an improvised nightclub. We're not talking about small college gatherings, but authentic parties that attracted over 1,000 people in a single night. The house, located in a residential neighborhood, transformed on weekends into one of the busiest spots on campus. Musk and Ressi charged admission and managed to earn several $1,000s in a single night, enough to pay the monthly rent and have extra money for their expenses. The most fascinating part is that while organizing these massive parties at night, Musk maintained a rigorous study schedule during the day, simultaneously pursuing 2 degrees, physics and economics. This ability to balance work and fun, to see business opportunities where others didn't, already foreshadowed the multifaceted entrepreneur he would become years later. 4. He almost went bankrupt financially. 2008 was a critical year for the world economy, but few experienced such an extreme financial roller coaster as Elon Musk. After selling PayPal to eBay for $1.5 billion, Musk had invested practically all of his personal fortune in his 2 most ambitious companies, Tesla and SpaceX. But both companies were on the brink of collapse. Tesla faced delays in the production of the Roadster, and SpaceX had experienced 3 consecutive failed launches. Funds were rapidly depleting, and the global financial crisis complicated obtaining new investments. Musk reached such a critical point that he had to borrow money from friends to cover his basic personal expenses. In his own words, "I was literally borrowing money for rent." The situation was so desperate that he considered closing one of the companies to save the other, but decided to bet everything he had on one last attempt. In a Hollywood-worthy turn of events, SpaceX's 4th launch was successful on September 28, 2008, and Tesla secured a crucial loan at the last moment. Musk went from being on the brink of bankruptcy to securing the future of both companies in a matter of weeks, demonstrating extraordinary resilience in the face of adversity. 5. He bought James Bond's submarine car. We all have whims, but few can afford to buy a piece of cinema history. In 2013, at an auction in London, Musk paid nearly $1 million for the iconic White Lotus Esprit that transformed into a submarine in the 1977 James Bond film, The Spy Who Loved Me. The fascinating part is that Musk didn't simply buy a collector's item to display. He had more ambitious plans. When he discovered that the car didn't actually transform into a functional submarine, like in the movie, it was just a scale model for underwater scenes, Musk expressed his disappointment. "I was a little disappointed to find out that it can't actually transform. What I'm going to do is upgrade it with a Tesla electric powertrain and try to make it transform for real." This anecdote reveals a lot about Musk's personality. He's not content with admiring fiction, but seeks to turn it into reality. It's the same spirit that has led him to create electric cars when they seemed like science fiction, or to plan colonies on Mars when others considered it a fantasy. For Musk, the boundaries between imagination and reality are blurred, and his fortune allows him to explore that frontier. 6. He was fired as CEO of PayPal. Few remember that one of Musk's greatest business successes, PayPal, was also the scene of one of his most notorious professional failures. In 1999, Musk founded X.com, an online payment company that would later merge with Confinity to form what we know as PayPal. Musk was named CEO of the merged company, but his leadership was short-lived. In October 2000, while he was on vacation, the board of directors organized what some have described as a corporate coup and replaced him with Peter Thiel.
El chasis y el
The
cuerpo
main
son
reason for the
transportados
dispute
encima de los
was
robots,
technological.
mientras que las
Musk
baterías son
insisted on
colocadas
continuing
debajo
to
de los
use
robots.
the Unix
Y
operating
sí se
system
encuentran
and
personas trabajando en
X.com
esta
servers,
fábrica. Los
while other
materiales son
executives
atornillados a
preferred to
mano.
migrate to Windows systems.
Luego los autos siguen
But there
esta
was
vía
more at stake.
sobre las cabezas de los
Differences in
trabajadores,
vision
mientras que
and
los
leadership
robots llevan las
style.
partes del auto
Musk,
sobre pistas
always
magnéticas.
future-oriented, wanted to create a complete
Y la
financial
última parada
platform,
es el área
while
de
Thiel
inspección.
preferred to focus
Los técnicos revisan el motor, usan luces LED para encontrar errores y limpian los autos. Los carros eléctricos están listos para salir a la venta. Tesla tiene planes ambiciosos de crear 500,000 autos nuevos en los próximos 2 años. Y si vas a comprarte uno de estos carros, puedes recogerlo aquí mismo en Tesla Free. Para Cines en Español, soy Eri.
Became the financial springboard for his greatest successes. As Musk himself has said, failure is an option here. If things are not failing, you are not innovating enough. 7. Here he worked as a cleaner to pay for college. Before becoming a billionaire, Musk knew firsthand what it means to work hard for a modest salary. When he arrived in Canada at 17, with just a few dollars in his pocket and without financial support from his family, he had to figure out how to survive and finance his studies. One of his first jobs was particularly tough, a cleaner in a boiler at a lumber mill. For $18 an hour, young Musk had to put on a protective suit and enter industrial boilers to clean burned wood and toxic residue with a shovel. You can't see anything. You're in a confined space with limited air and extremely high temperatures, he would recall years later. But this wasn't his only manual job. He also worked on a farm cutting logs with a chainsaw and even at a bank as an intern. These jobs, far from discouraging him, strengthened his determination to create a different future. It's fascinating to think that the same hands that cleaned industrial boilers would later sign multi-million-dollar contracts and revolutionize entire industries. This rarely mentioned stage of his life reveals a very different Musk from the tech magnate we know today, and reminds us that even the most extraordinary trajectories often have humble beginnings. 8. He has a son named Xavier. Musk's personal life has been as complex and unconventional as his professional career. Among his numerous children, there's one whose name reveals the profound influence pop culture has had on the entrepreneur's life. Xavier, one of the twins he had with his first wife Justine Wilson, is named after Professor Charles Xavier, the leader of the X-Men. This detail may seem trivial, but it says a lot about Musk. The X-Men are mutants with extraordinary abilities who use their powers for the good of humanity, despite being misunderstood and often feared by society. Professor X, in particular, is a visionary who dreams of a world where humans and mutants coexist peacefully. It's not hard to see the parallels with Musk's self-perception, a misunderstood innovator who uses his exceptional capabilities to push humanity forward. This connection with comics and science fiction is neither casual nor superficial. Musk has frequently cited works like The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy and Asimov's Foundation as fundamental influences on his vision of the future. His companies, from SpaceX to Neuralink, seem taken directly from the pages of a science fiction novel. For Musk, these are not simple entertainments, but conceptual maps of possible futures that he has set out to make a reality. 9. He was diagnosed with Asperger's syndrome in May 2021. During his appearance as a host on Saturday Night Live, Musk revealed something that surprised many. "I'm actually the first person with Asperger's to host SNL, or at least the first to admit it." This public announcement was significant for several reasons. Asperger's syndrome, now considered part of the autism spectrum, is characterized by difficulties in social interaction and restricted and repetitive patterns of behavior and interests, often accompanied by exceptional cognitive abilities in specific areas. Although Musk had never openly spoken about his diagnosis before SNL, many aspects of his public personality seem to fit this profile. His direct and sometimes socially awkward way of communicating, his intense focus on technical topics, his tendency to make controversial comments without apparent awareness of how they will be received. What makes this public acknowledgement especially valuable is that it helps destigmatize autism, showing that neurodivergent people can not only function in the world, but excel extraordinarily and lead some of the most innovative companies on the planet. As Musk himself said on that occasion, "Look, I know I sometimes say or post strange things, but that's just how my brain works." This transparency about his condition has been inspiring for many people on the autism spectrum and their families, offering a powerful example that neurodiversity can be a strength, not an obstacle. 10. He doesn't take a salary. When we think of CEOs of large corporations, we imagine astronomical compensations, but Elon Musk has also redefined this convention. Since 2020, Musk officially receives no salary as CEO of Tesla. In fact, even before eliminating it completely, his base salary was the legal minimum in California, $56,000, a paltry figure for someone in his position. But this doesn't mean he works for free. His compensation agreement with Tesla is probably the most ambitious in corporate history, a package based entirely on the company's performance that could be worth more than $50 billion if all objectives are met. To receive this compensation, Tesla must reach specific market capitalization and profitability milestones. The fascinating part is that Musk has completely bet on the long-term success of his companies, aligning his personal interests with those of shareholders in a radical way. This strategy is not without controversy. Some critics argue that this scheme has incentivized corporate decisions designed to boost short-term stock prices. Others point out that, given that his wealth comes mainly from his stock holdings in Tesla and SpaceX, he doesn't need a traditional salary. In any case, this unconventional approach perfectly reflects Musk's philosophy, breaking with the established, taking extraordinary risks, and linking his personal success to the real impact his companies have on the world. And so concludes our journey through 10 fascinating and little-known aspects of Elon Musk's life. From the child so absorbed in his thoughts that he seemed deaf, to the CEO who doesn't take a salary, Musk's trajectory defies conventions at every turn. His story reminds us that behind public figures are complex human beings with struggles, peculiarities, and moments of vulnerability. What makes Musk extraordinary is not just his intelligence or vision, but his unbreakable determination in the face of adversity. He has transformed his failures into springboards, his eccentricities into strengths, and his boldest dreams into revolutionary companies. Love him or hate him, it's impossible to deny his impact on our world. As he once said, when something is important enough, you do it even if the odds are not in your favor. This mindset has defined his life and continues to inspire millions around the world. What other things do you know about Elon Musk? Leave us your comments below. And don't forget to subscribe for more content about the most fascinating figures of our time on TENTUNK. Oh, and give us a like if you enjoyed it. Until next time.